I am working on a really fun project today. Okay, so we have this. Look how cute. Not yet. It will be, I promise. And when it's all said and done, we're going to give you a done picture when we're all done and have them completed. We're not going to get them all painted and stamped and all bedazzled tonight. The decorating really is going to be up to you. I'm giving you the starting point for sure. All right, so I literally take old brushes. You know, these chip brushes are great for this kind of a project, okay? And step one would be to get these dipped into paint, but let me get the molds on first so that we don't make a mess of my pretty little Santa. Well, it used to be pretty. It's a project table, you know, so we're going to be using the Ironorchiddesigns air dry clay. I know there are other brands out there and you can use coupons at those stores, but trust me, even though we do have sales, you know, often enough during the year, it doesn't really matter. Your value on this air dry clay is going to take you places. I mean, it's just amazing. It does have binders to it. If by chance the package had been slit or was open and wasn't stored properly or whatever, there has been, you know, instances where it dries because it's air dry clay. I have never come across a package where it has been anything less than phenomenal. It's so much better than the paper clays that I find at the stores. And if you scroll back on our playlist here on YouTube, you'll see early on with our experience with Iron Orchid Design, when I was running, I only had one package left of this clay and I was doing a large project and I needed to run out and get the old clay that I used to use. And it was really quite eye-opening. So that said, let's move on. We have these trim molds. These are really perfect for working with this brim of his hat, okay? This is one version. Let's see, this is one where I pieced a couple of them together. All right, so there's options. You pick what works for you. I was just doing one on the video that I redecided just now. This is all wet, and I was doing it kind of out of order, and I realized I had to start over again. So this is all wet, and I just did this one with Trimmings 3. Okay, isn't that cute? And so I gotta be careful and let it dry to the side. We're gonna redo this one. And the best way to start this project, if you don't like messy hands, wear gloves. Make sure you have a damp rag around to wipe your hands, because when you're working with clay and glue, you're gonna get some messy fingers, okay? Have a protected top so you're not messing your furniture or your table at home. This doesn't have any real odors to it that I have ever noticed, but if you're really sensitive, wear the proper or whatever respirator. I don't feel you need to wear goggles with this project, but any person would tell you, because we're working with these products and the clay, maybe some could get in your eye. That's, it would be suggested that you wear goggles just to be safe. But they're, Okay, so we have these. There are other options. There's swags. It has some flowers to them. There's some little beadwork and classic elements mold. There's olive crest that has swags with the olive leaves. There's the laurel mold, which is actually very similar to kind of like this one here that has all these little leaves on it, okay? But we're going to keep it simpler, and I'm going to, let's see, do we want to do the same one I just did? I think that one came out pretty good. So we're going to use Trimmings 3. All right, Trimmings 1, Trimmings 2, Trimmings 3. All right. Let me just move this over just a hair, because I'm finding I'm having to stretch over to my table too much, and that's where I am most likely not to capture something in my video for you. So we have an open package of our clay. I keep it double bagged when not in use. All right, and there is a damp, not wet, paper towel in here. Now the bag is not pretty because, you know, I'm always using them. As long as they're keeping it airtight, that's all I care about. All right, and we're going to take a little bit of cornstarch and a soft brush. Arrowroot powder works as well. Again, this is stage 2 of this project. We're going to do these 2 molds. Oops, that was a little generous. You don't need a lot. You do use more cornstarch on molds that have a lot of little fine details like snowflakes, or this one here that has little points to them. Okay? And I am just going to need my clay. And normally the clays that you use would be like cracking and stuff like that with this kind of work. And that's what's nice about their clay, is it doesn't do that. All right, so we don't need a ton of this clay in here. We just need enough to go around this small brush. I think that's going to be more than enough. I'm just pressing down, and then I'm going to take a putty knife. I could take the back of my thumb, whatever. The important part is what's on the bottom side of this. The top side is actually the bottom side when you flip them over and glue them on. But you want that nice and flat. So you can press and pull. These little micro rims give like a nice little cut to the end, the edge. So if you're not used to that, you'll notice the big difference from regular silicone molds. The other ones, there is no little extra rim, and so you're pulling and you're pulling, and then sometimes it rolls out of the mold because you've been pulling so much, and sometimes you've dug in farther than you wanted because you didn't know where the end was. So this is really nice. These little micro rims. There's literally like a little extra rim on the molds. And now I'm just going to take and put some of this into this part of the mold. Just press it down best I can. I'm going to try not to make a mess of my pretty sweater. It's the holiday season. Of course, I get started late. I do have a couple other videos ready to go, but you know what? This is a fun project. We did it live last year, and I want to be able to have something for all my peoples to reference again for next year or the year after or whenever. So we have now enough to cover the ferrule of this brush. Now we need to decide where we're going to do this. This side has 2 little rivets, and it has print. This side has 1 little rivet. We have the seam of the ferrule over here. Let's do this as our front. Oh, we need a nose. This is where I went wrong with my other video. I forgot to do the nose. And the nose is really kind of the important part of this project because it's so cute. All right, the little Santa gnomes. All right, if you've ever made cookies, you just take like a bit and you roll it in your hands, okay? Now, if you can find, like, depending on the size of your nose, you want kind of a small end to kind of fit in and make a nostril. Towards the back side, okay, and you can make it as characteristic of a nose as you want. All right. I've used the end of paintbrushes. And then I'm going to kind of give it just a little bit of a point, and then we're going to flatten the part we're going to put underneath the mold. So you see we have it's a little bit skinnier on the top. It's a little bit shaped, pointed towards the top, and we have the nostrils. Right? Let's see, does it help if I zoom in a little bit more? All right, can you see better? Nope, this way, okay. No, it's hard to make out the details on this. Let's see. Anywho, so let's hit this with glue. I do like the tight bond, quick and thick. This is important. There's other tight bonds. There's a few kinds of tight bonds. This quick and thick right here, it isn't really thick. Not like an Aleene's Fast Grab, Super Tack, whatever that one is, at the craft stores. But this does set up faster. I don't understand, but it does. Okay, so we're going to add an ample amount of glue to the back of the nose, and we're going to position the nose where we like it. Okay, now for the fun stuff. We're going to put this one on the bottom, I think. And then this will go on the top. Okay. That's what I'm going to roll with. I'm just trying to cover as much of this ferrule as I can. I'm not going to glue the whole strip here. I don't need all that glue. Okay, so we're going to go up and around his nose. Oh wait, I want this part to be the centerpiece here. This little bead. So do your planning. What you like best, the positioning and all that. See all this stretching that's happening with the clay? I'm dangling it, I'm pressing it in the mold and messing with it. And it's important that when we glue this, that we're not only pressing down, but we're going to press in, okay? And then we're going to cut a portion off the back. And then we're going to actually give ourselves a little more room here. All right. And we're going to fit it. Because when this dries, it's going to want to shrink. Even though we're taking our time to try to write all the stretching that we've done by pressing in on it as well as pressing down. Okay, it's still going to want to dry. I mean, it's still going to want to shrink. So now let's take this one. I got some tinsel from my sweater in there. That's okay. I like this little detail in the front here, so we're going to make sure that's the front of our piece. See, now this little piece here, I can't really use that because it has glue on it, and I don't want to mix that with my clay. Now we're going to layer this kind of over the other one. This is what we do just when you don't have a thick enough mold, okay? We're layering to make the brim. All right, let's add a lot of glue here and press this down. We're going to cut this. See, we know where to cut this now. Okay. And then we're going to cut this here. And we are a shop, so my husband just came in. We have shop dogs, so if you're on Cape, please come and say hello to the dogs, if nothing else. All right, so get our little tinsel there. And now we have a brim, we have a nose. We glue down, we pinch in. And over the next, hour, 2 hours as it's drying, really in 5 minutes it's not gonna really move a lot. But as it starts to dry a bit in the next few hours, you might find it lifts from the background a little bit more. You can keep playing with it. And then tomorrow it'll be really pretty set. But look how cute that's going to be. All right. So step 1 of this is technically to dip this into watery paint. However, I am not going to make a little jar of watered down paint just for the one brush. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Cotton Chalk Mineral Paint by Dixie Belle. Let me zoom this out a little bit. Oh, no, the other way. There we go. Because I don't want to add water to this mix of paint. I'm just going to dip this into some of the paint and work it into the brush with the water. Of course, this is where you're definitely going to want gloves on your hands. You want a protected surface. You want all that stuff. You want rags. I use wipies. Wipies are great for stamping, which we could be doing on this. So have those handy. Okay. Just really work that in there. This will take like a couple coats, especially if you have a lot of like colors and dark colors or whatever of paint on your brush, just to make it so it's all pretty. All right. Let me just maybe slap that on there. There we go. So see how drippy wet this is? It'll take like a few layers of this. And then you're gonna like hang it best you can. I kind of take it from my wire rack in my workroom and put an S-hook and have like a Tupperware lid underneath and let them drip. However, this other batch that you see that I've already gotten done to this point, I was in a bit of a rush because I thought I was getting these done faster, but that didn't happen, so I didn't need to do them in such a rush. All right, so that's going to dry, and I'm going to wipe my hand with the wipey. And that brings you to this stage of the game. And I have, look at all these chip brushes I had. I saved them now for the year because this is what I do with them. All right. And you know, sometimes I'm able to spread the bristles, but see, I was saying I was in a rush and I didn't really put them on too watery, and it still took 2 coats of just like the paint. All right, and then I didn't have time to really hang them, so they have, some of them are a little curled, you know, some of them are kind of flat. what I started to do is I started to kind of cut the edges so that they kind of ruffled a little bit more. This is like what you can do if you don't have a place to hang them. Okay. If you're just going to lay them flat and you have it on thick, then go back and just kind of trim the edges so that it's ruffled. And kind of try to spread them out the best you can. All right, so that's this stage of the game. Let me get some other materials out and we'll get to the next part of this project. We're back. So we now have our paints. I have they're all pretty much the chalk mineral paints. I have and they're Dixie Belle, Cotton, Evergreen, Honky Tonk. I have their Moonshine Metallics in deep woods. I have gold. This is folk art, treasure gold. This is Modern Masters Satin Oyster. It's a semi-opaque. Most metallics are not very opaque. They're not very thick. They're kind of sheer. So you want to be mindful of that. So I use the deep woods over Evergreen. The Honky Tonk Red, if I was going to use a color over that, you could go like a pinky color and do the rosé in Moonshine Metallics. I'm not sure what Modern Masters has. Or the garnet in the gemstone mousse. Now, the thing is with mousse, if you're a Dixie Belle product user and you're familiar with it, we have the gilding waxes, which are your official petroleum-based waxes. And there's, you know, the different colors, like what, 6 different colors maybe in those. There's the brass, silver, gold, copper, zinc, black. So we have like that option, but there's also a water base now, and it has 4 colors. The diamond, which is silver, gold digger, which is gold, or golden nugget, gold nugget. And then there's the garnet, which is like a red, and amber, which is like a copper. So that's an option for you. They're water based, but if they need a little, like a wax, they need time to really cure. So if you're going to top coat it, your project, make sure that you give it ample time to dry. If you don't have that kind of time for it to dry, do the gemstone mousse after. Now this isn't going to be like strict, this is just going to show you like you can decorate these and paint these. At this point, now that they're dry, you can kind of inspect, you know, if you wanted to do any fixes and then revisit. I'm not really going to do, this is the back side. There was a minor separation there. Let's see, no separation there. All right, this kind of flopped a little bit, but that's okay. When the paint goes on, you're not going to see it. I'm good with that, really good with that. And again, a minor separation. But they're the backs of these ornaments. And then there was this one, and a super long handle, and I've been playing with it, trying to figure out what I want to do with it. I'm still not sure what I want to do. I took the rope detail from Trimmings 2, maybe, and I just wrapped it around and around and around with the clay. So I'm not sure. But I can tell you one thing I always do. Now, this clay is white, so we don't need to base coat it in a white. If you have brushes that have plastic handles, you're going to want to prime them first. And the reason is that any paint is really not meant to stick to something so, what's the word? There's no pores to it. It's very slick, it's very hard, like a glass, like a metal, plastic, Formica. So slick stick would definitely be suggested. These are wood, and technically if you were painting your furniture or whatever craft projects in a wood that's not sealed, or you would have tannins bleed through, but I haven't had that happen yet, so, you know, take that with a grain of salt. If you want to go the extra mile and make sure that you don't get any bleed through, there's no knots in these. The only thing is you have is the the stamping and the ink, perhaps that could bleed through. So a primer would be suggested, although I think I would probably, in this case, for the ink, I might seal it with shellac, because the ink will seal in the ink. The alcohol of the shellac should seal in the ink. That's my 2 cents worth. But I'm not priming. They're wood. They're definitely porous, okay? And the one thing I do know is all the brims are going to be white. All the beards are going to be white. They're already white. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with a white because this is very sheer. So I start with this. And, you know, I have brushes for brushes over here. I'm going to pick one. And you should have a palette for this part. So let's see. I have my well-loved, it's going to be a famous palette at some point because I just need to get a new one. It's rough, you guys. It's rough. And I always want to make sure you seal the jars. There's been more times than I can say that should have happened where the jar was not sealed, and we go to shake them, and it's a hot mess. Maybe not me. So I'm just going to go right over and I'm going to paint this. Now, technically, where this ferrule is, the paint would not want to stick to that. It's paint. It's not a magic cure, okay? But it's the back. The front is very well covered. And I'm just taking my pearl paint right over the band. I'm going to keep the cotton on the beard. You'll see what we do to the beard. As far as the hats, I mean, there's so many options you could do with the hats. I don't have my old brushes handy to show you for this video, but for the end of this video I will have stills not only of these but from last year, so you have a whole idea of what you could do for decorating them. But it's paint. It could be stamps. You could put, if you had small transfers, you could rub that on once your paint is sealed and dried well. Paint inlays, if you have a big enough brush, because most of the paint inlays have kind of a larger design. There's so many options. But typically I'm just going to be painting, maybe some small stamps. Okay. And actually, you know what? With the white, I don't think we need to, I put this on pretty thick. Give this time to dry. If this separation on the edge bothers you, you could take some caulk to that. And like any trim caulk at home, I do have a special one that I like, first of all. I like this DAP Alex Fast Dry. And you would just literally put this along the edge. And with a damp finger, ideally, right? And it's paintable, so I guess that's one way you can kind of hide this ferrule too, right? And you can also fill in your little gap there. If there's a big gap, I prefer to take glue, like pretend this is glue. Take a piece of the clay, roll it between your fingers, and once that glue is in there, you just push your clay right into there, right? Then you take like a toothpick or whatever you have around and you smooth it out, right? Make the lines match each other from one side to the other so you don't see that there was a fix there. Right, so let's just do that. This is something, you know, if you're doing a few brushes, do this, let it dry. This dries really fast. It says it dries in 20 minutes. I'd give it an hour or 2 hours if you could. All right. So we'll let this brush rest a bit. And so you know what to do with that, all right? If it's just an area that needs more paint, the nice thing about the chalk style paints is that you can do a fix and you won't see your mess. Make sure to get inside that little hole there best you can. We could do stripes. So let's do, since that'll be a white brim, you could try to tape these, but you know, it's with all the curves of the brush handles, I don't think you're going to get anywhere with it. So I typically just do them by eye. If you want a really crisp edge, you could take like a piece of tape in the moment. Let me show you what I mean. So I could take this tape and just use that as like a straight edge. I can hold it around to where my ends are there, and if it's not real wet, it acts like a stencil. It's kind of rough right here for the wood. Okay. And you get pretty straight edge, right? And then we could go like so. See what happens though? You can't wrap it around because it starts angling at the corners. So you have to do it, like I said, in the moment. So here we are, one coat. I have made up my mind on this guy here. It was a process. We've got to go, you know, second coat. I've made my plan. That was the important part. I was trying to go with 2 colors. I was going to do, well, the 3 colors, no. I was going to do red, white, green, white, red, white, green, white, red. But what ended up happening is that the whole top half of this whole side was red, the center was white, and the left side was all green. I thought that it just started looking a little odd. So then I said, okay, let's just do red, green, white. And then this actually started to happen. And then we got down to about here and something totally changed. So then I just sort of fudged things in the back just to make it work back here on the front side. And no one's going to be the wiser. I mean, unless you're really looking at it. So we're making it work. I have gone ahead and caulked my edges, okay, on all of these. After my paint dried, my other ones that we did the molds on yesterday, those are, they've got a second application of paint and they're drip drying. And so all I'm going to do is we're going to do a second coat of all these colors. Well, the white is not going to be a second coat of white. We're going to be putting this pearly color on. All right, you can see the difference in the bright white versus the pearly white. But I want to show you, it's not really important for you to see how I paint a second coat, but I do want to show you how I color the noses. The noses. And it's not rocket science. It's nothing that's hard to do, okay? I am going to take a littlest dab of my red. Let's see, let's move this down. See, I make flesh color when I did my, I make Santa shell ornaments. So I do a lot of the flesh tone. You need so little of this red. So we're going to do red. Okay. What do you think is next? White is the obvious. So let's do white. We need another stick. And this you want quite a bit of. I'm not even going to put the with the red yet because it's probably too much red for that white. And that's actually a lot of paint for these little noses. Okay, we'll just wipe that off. What do you think as our next color? I do have a Dixie Belle Daisy open, but I'm just gonna, it's such a small amount. Yellow. And then what I do is we're going to take just the littlest dab of the red and put it right in there. See what happens? I mean, it really, a little goes a long way. And then the littlest dab of yellow, whatever yellow, okay? And then you keep adding your colors very, very lightly until you get a skin tone that you like. But it is, I mean, you can just do a pink color, but I think adding the yellow just really takes it from a pink skin to more of a skin tone. Actually going to do quite a bit more yellow there. Because we're also going to go with a wash of the, more of the a bright pink. Not quite, maybe we might actually do a really, really, really watery wash of the red to give him rosy, you know, spots on his nose. Okay. So now that we have a skin tone, we're just going to paint the nose. And it's really not that big of a deal if you didn't do this part. It just kind of, right? It just sort of, and then actually you can actually do it right now when it's sort of wet. Just tap in some of the red, kind of like a half moon sort of a shape. You don't want it like a full circle on his nose. All right, and you can make those as light or as dark as you want. You can, if it came out too dark, you know, water down your brush a little bit. Add more of your skin tone at the top. And you have a cute, cute little nose. And if you're not going to add any more molds or details, you can keep things really simple and add details like we can do pom-poms. I'm going to show you a way to make a pom-pom. All right, these are pom-poms that came like on a little, and they're just a really good size for the little hats. You can find pom-poms in the stores, anywhere, okay? You could take little cuttings from, you know, pieces of whatever arrangements that you've done in the past. All right, you can have like little jingle bells. You could take like the little jingle bells and wrap it around the hat, would be super cute, right? That would be adorable, just easy peasy. All right, just take like a slew of whatever it is you have around, broken parts and things. Look at how cute this is, little ornaments. And you could bedazzle the little hat with the little miniature ornaments. All right, I have other tinsel. Okay, these are kind of big for these little hats. It's like that, what is it, like a boxwood maybe. It might work for him. Just a couple little ends on there and one of the little glittery berries. All right, we have this I found. Okay, we could take clippings from this, would actually be really cute. I have a little piece of holly left from something. I have no idea, but we have it, and we could use little clippings. They would be adorable on the brim of the hat. I have this little red flower that would work on anything, and this tinsel is, I mean, to die for. So, you know, get creative with how you decorate. I'm not going to step you through like what it is you decorate with. You go have some fun. Even if you just took like, if you had like a holiday arrangement in your house, maybe you took a little clipping from the back side of it. Mum's the word, okay? I will not tell. So I wanted to show you, you can make a little pom-pom, all right? Let's see if I have, where's the open space in this? I know it's here because there's the string. This, okay, is, all right, here we go. It's a little cutting of, you know, the furs for the gnomes. I think it's actually this one. No, it might have been this one. I can't even tell anymore, you guys. Whatever, there's little furries, okay? If you're doing any other like Christmas gnomes and things like that, chances are you have some of this. And you're literally gonna take a cutting of it, all right? I had a little piece here. It doesn't have to be circular. If you're painting, you don't want to do this near your freshly painted pieces because this fur is going to get everywhere. And you want to go, you know, you're going to have to play with the size. I think we were doing, you could do it a square, whatever. You're just trying to get like a little, all right, I have brand new needles that I got at the craft store, the fabric store, whatever it was I got it at. All right, I'm gonna go with the larger needles because I have a chance. I have a slight chance of being able to see this with the readers on, okay? You have your thread, all right? Be careful when you do this. That's a nice quiet situation that you don't have kids and dogs running around. I don't suggest that you store your needle in your mouth. So, but it's just me here and things are quiet. You do want to use nice scissors to cut your thread. Oh, these are getting tired. Because you want a nice tight end on that, if you're using dull scissors, you're going to find, there we go, got it in there, nice. Okay, you don't need this doubled, so we're just going to make a knot on the one end. So I just wrap it around my finger a couple times. And because my finger is kind of cold and dry, we're going to get a little dab of water so I can roll it on my finger. And this just makes like a nice big knot. All right, so now with our needle, we're going to take this. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. And we're just going to go, I want the ends to curl in. So I'm going to have it so that the sewing goes on the first side and is up and down through the fabric. Right? After a little while, pull the thread through. Make sure we still have our single. I tend to do extra with my needle on the thread, on the needle I should say, because I'm too lazy to keep adding more thread to that. So I'll just cut the excess and make another knot on the end to do another pom-pom. Oops. So, like I said, we're going to go, we're on the outside, we go in, out, in, out, in, out, in. It's very easy. And where's our knot? Over here. We're almost there. Okay, we're back to the beginning. And all I need to do, I'm going to put my finger into the little cup there and then pull as I'm doing that, and I'm trying to tuck those ends in as I do that. Okay. Now, you could put some glue at this point, kind of open up the end and put some hot glue or, craft glue, and then you would just go ahead and put that on there and tighten it right around the tip of your brush. Okay? And then, once it's all nice and tight the way you like it, then you would just, to make a knot, I'm going to go ahead and seal this one up because I'm just going to glue it on the top. And you're going to pinch through your fabric, but make sure you're already tight, okay? As tight as you want it. And then kind of hold things so it doesn't unravel on you. And put your needle through the loop and then wrap it around that loop a couple more times. So you have like a total of 3. Now carefully and slowly pull, and then pull that knot right into your fabric. And that's it. It's really easy. It's fun to do. You could do a bunch of these while you're watching your favorite show. And now you have like a really cute, and you can make them all different sizes. You could do them small, you can do them big. A cute little pom-pom. Okay? Now, to hang them, we have one with the pipette, and let me show you how I did. I had to go back in my brain and figure this out. I'm going to do this one with the pipette because we don't have a big hole left on him. So, what I did, we don't need all of that. We're going to have some excess if we do. We might be able to use that for something else someday. So push the pipette loop through the hole, and then come around the back side and loop your pipette through the loop. Okay? I hope this makes sense. All right, so let me show you. Let's get rid of this. So the loop is through from the back, from the front to the back. All right, we wrap the ends around the front and up through the loop. Now you just carefully kind of keep pulling on this evenly to get it as tight as you can. And the reason I do this is because I still want to add this pom-pom on top, right? And I don't want it, you won't be able to have it, so at least this way, you know, if the loop is going down over this, it'll be a hot mess. And if it was coming up the front, you know, it just wouldn't look right having the pipe coming up the front. So this is just a nice way you keep everything tidy in the back and it still gives you room to have your pom-poms. Okay. And it keeps everything kind of level. All right, and then you just, again, you make your loop and you twist. And like I said, you want to make sure that these ends are nice and pinched in. Take like a, at the very end, take like a pliers if you have them, okay? Needle nose pliers, and pinch those in nice and tight. So a little one, when they're hanging on the tree, maybe they don't get one of those little wire ends, okay? Another thing you can do is I have this cording. It could be ribbon. And from the front to the back, I have the knots, and you just go like that. That one's the easiest one to do, but, you know, you have to be careful because this is going to be, you're going to, okay? You could also kind of go like this, just like we did with the other one. All right. Loop it to the back. See how it's through the loop? And then you would just take the ends, once these are nice and pulled tight, the loop is not pulled tight yet. You got to kind of finagle that. Nice and tight. And then you would take the ends and tie them, okay, at the top. So that works, okay? This way again, you put your little pom-pom on top, and this isn't going to get in the way when you're looking at the front of your little Santa gnome. So that's options for how to hang them. All right, we have, let me put my needle somewhere because, you know, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. And again, I have this one. I am going to add a little stamping to one, and I know I'm going to do it to this one. I might do another one of these striped ones. I'm thinking about it. If I were to do that, I would probably take, what did I do with it? I just had them out, right? Oh, here it is. Okay, this is Cozy. All right. And when you first get these stamps, let me show you, because I have not opened this one yet. All right, I'm going to open this up. They all come with the masks, and I don't know if you're able to see through that, but they're all die cut to the exact shapes of these. So if you wanted to layer these, like if I wanted to put one snowflake over the other snowflake, the one I want to be in front, I would stamp first. I would put the mask that fits it right over it and then stamp around it. And that one will be in the front. And the very last one that gets stamped over all the other masks is the one that's furthest behind. But that'll come in another video as far as masking. All right, you can also search stamp masking. All right, so now I'm going to peel this sort of acetate sheet that comes with every stamp set. And you're going to take a piece of sandpaper, sanding sponge, whatever you have that's like a regular grit, like 100 grit, okay? And you're going to give it the whole thing a sand. All right. One direction, the other direction, all right. The whole thing. Because you can see, like, it's very shiny. And there is no paint, there is no ink that likes to stick to anything that shiny. And so if it's not able to go on there nicely, it's certainly not going to leave you a nice impression. So this is called conditioning your stamp. I just wanted to show you this before I wanted to open this with you so you can see I actually sand it. And then you can take one of these wipies all right, and then you just give it a wipe. Now, we won't need to do this anymore. It's just the first time you pull these out and use them. But I was thinking, like, they all come apart. You can peel them off, okay? You can peel them off and make arrangements. Or you can cut around them like I did with this one. Okay, this one is from Pretty in Plaid. It's actually underneath here in the packaging, but it goes with that ribbon there. Okay, and this gives you all these different plaid patterns that you can actually build, but that's for another day. All right, and so this the stamp is on here and it's the backing I cut around it. So now I have sort of a firm stamp. But if you didn't do that, your stamp would be, I think I left one loose here so that you could see. Oops. Where did the Santa go? I had a Santa loose here so you could see. Oh, here he is. Okay? They're very floppy. So if I were to make an arrangement, say I put Santa on my piece of furniture or my craft piece, and then I wanted to put this on, right? Without the backing, okay, imagine this was still sticky. I could take that arrangement now and collect them. Now this would stick because it wouldn't have its backing on it. It would be, it's like jelly, the way the stamps feel when they're not on their backing. All right, and then you flip it over and you have a stamp, custom made for your project. So like I said, I could do these little stitches here would be super cute. So I might play with that. You can go the other way, right? We could take one of, I could have done maybe this, but you really wouldn't get the effect of the whole snowflake in there. I don't know how small the snowflakes go. We could have put like a tree, like right down the center there, or up here would probably just fit. So play with the ideas that IOD gives you, because they really are amazing products. And you can have so much fun. This whole cozy set is meant to look like it's hand stitched. It's a bunch of tiny little, it looks like stitch marks. So that's really fun. But I'm going to play with Pretty in Plaid. And we have their inks. Okay. I have brayers. We have 8 different colors in their inks. I want to use, it's Ocean's Deep. Let's see, that's stone gray. I think I want to use black. All right, so we have the black, and it so happens that I have an ink pad. Now normally they're white, but we're going to add, we already added ink, but I want to show you how you would do this. If you got a blank ink pad, you would just take and do a good dose. So you want to shake the ink first. Okay, shake it up good, get all the pigments mixed up. And we're just doing this. How easy is that? And then you could take a little popsicle stick and kind of make sure it kind of gets married in there evenly. All right, remember this is ink, so if you don't want messy hands, I suggest you wear gloves. So I could also take this ink and put it like on a plate, like this. I happen to have these kind of plates, but it could be a paper plate that's big enough for your ink and your roller to roll in it. Whatever works for you. I have a friend who uses foam rollers. I can't imagine how that works well for her, because the foam, you could also just take this pad, okay, and just tap the back side of your stamp. But again, it's a foam, so it's pretty cushy. And to me, I mean, you want to make sure that your pattern stays to the top of the stamp, not to the back side. So I prefer to use the brayer. Now, if you're doing this with fabric, there's certain steps that you do, and if it's more porous, you would want it definitely more juicy. But this is just a quick little project. Now, I typically do not stamp on a sealed surface, but these were all sealed once already. I forgot to mention that. I just put a top coat on these with a brush. It's clear coat satin. All right, so this will take a while to dry. I won't be able to touch this one now till tomorrow. And then I'm going to hover where I want to put this gingham. So I think we're going to go, we're going to move up the center. But then we'll get the stripe. It does have this stripe on the end. So let's just see, we're not going to, if we have a mistake, we want to make sure we have rubbing alcohol handy and we can wipe it off right away, especially since it's sealed. Let's see. I'm just trying to decide. I'm not touching the surface yet, see? Because this is ink. You could do this with paint, but I would water it down. And then, or just go, I think we kind of got to do this, you guys. I think we got to go up the center so you get the buffalo check idea. Okay. Hopefully that's pretty center. And then once we go down on that, you don't want it to move. Okay. Make sure everything's got even pressure. And now you've got buffalo check. We could take this now and add to it. Okay, we can add to the sides best we can. All right, once this is dry, I can go and do it to the back side. This is where the wipies come really handy. Take this and wipe this off really quick so you're not making a mess of your other projects. But for one thing, if I had a mess here and it blurred, I would just take my alcohol on the wipey or a towel and just wipe the whole thing. It doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but you know, we have this mold here, and I guess if you really wanted this to be effective, you could have done the handle, stamped it, and then did the mold. That would have made things a lot easier. But like I said, we're going to add things. Like we can add, you know what I mean? You're not going to see that once we add a little something to the brim. You might see it in the back, that it doesn't go all the way to the brim, but that's, again, it's the back. If I wanted to touch it up, right, let's see. Let's see what happens if I want to touch that little spot up. I would take the part that I want to fix, just that part, just that bottom line is what I'm going to do, just the bottom line. Do my best to match it up. Yeah, it's not going down any more than that. But I didn't make a mess. It didn't go above, that's for sure. And you know what? It could actually help is if I did take some of this backing off. Because it is so flimsy that I would be able to press it down more. But, all right. But like I said, it's not going to matter because we're going to put something on the brim. And I think that's going to be super cute with the buffalo check. All right, so I'm just gonna add some Howie or something to this guy. This guy, all he's getting is a pom-pom. This one's getting a pom-pom. They're all getting the pom-poms. It's a matter of what if I'm doing those little red and green ones or the fancy white ones. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. I forgot to mention one thing. It happens, okay? I want to add a little bit of glaze to the rims just so that the details pop a little bit. And it's really not a big deal. This is actually a black glaze. We sell the black glaze as well. Comes in other colors. It comes in a pearl color as well. And I'm actually not going to do it full strength. I got a wet brush. And I'm just going to wipe this into here. This is the all white one. So we're just going to go with that subtle sort of, you know, shabby chic, farmhouse. It'll all work really nice with this. And I'm just going to get a rag. Okay, in my case, it's a paper towel. And if it's too dark, then just add more water. And because everything's sealed, we have time to do the, you know, wiping on this and stuff. So that's an important part. And that's why I wanted to seal, and I totally forgot that when I was doing the other part of this video. So right there, I think that'll be good. And this will have a lot of open time because, first of all, it's very watery, which is what we want. In this case, I don't want it very dark. You could do the same thing with paint. We're going to do that in a second. Don't have to have fancy glaze. Glaze just gives you a little more transparency without a lot of effort. And what I mean is that if you don't water it down, it'll still be transparent, okay? It's a medium that you mix your paint into. So it just makes everything a little more transparent. So I want to take this down even a little bit more, I think. I'm just looking for another, like a dry brush that I can sort of tap and move some of this while it's still wet. I'm using my rag damp because once you start using dry materials with your glaze, things will start to dry. As long as you want it to work some more. All right. You want to keep things damp. So we just keep moving it till we like it. All right, let's give that a hot second to dry because we're going to do something to this one still. We're going to do this one. Isn't this cute? We're going to do this same look, all right, to the bigger brush. I can't decide if I want to keep the tassels long or what I'm going to do, but whatever we do, it'll be cute, I think, because it's just, how stinking cute can you get? I mean, come on. Now we could glaze all the way up the top there. We could glaze that one with the roping. I don't see how that's going to help us, but you know. I have a new fix for the tassel, the pom-pom I mean. And I did this last year, but it didn't hit me until I did one. So you could do it the way I just showed you in the other clip. If you're a little more comfortable with sewing and in the instructions for sewing, I think I can make sense of what can make the pom-pom stay tucked in a little bit better. Aren't those adorable? Oh my God, like that one is done, you guys. It's got its tassel. I do have it glued in the hole. All right, I want to show you this one. Okay, we used the white cording for this. That was gold. We added the jingle bell as well. I did do the stamping, you guys. Look how stinking cute. All right, so, but because this one has got the green in it, and we have that really pretty metallic green paint. Let me get it out here. It's Moonshine Metallics. All right, we're going to give it a good shake. Oh, and by the way, this is the same night. I'm still wearing the same clothes. And this ink did dry well enough for me to add the tassel to. It just looks shiny because it's on a shiny surface. All right. So I did this one after and it's already dry, you guys. So if you're ever concerned, you can take a dry piece of paper towel and blot straight up and down. Okay. And again, this stamp was from Cozy. Of course, they just fell to the floor when I was starting the video. So you can see I did cut them out. All right, there was two parts that I used, those little stitchings, and I used the Newgrass ink, all right, and then mixing white. This is actually white ink. It's a little more transparent than the regular ink, so I would test it on your surface before you use it. But there's a little bit of the white. I don't know if the glare is going to show of the smaller zigzag stitch. And then this is the bigger zigzag stitch in the green. Okay, white and green. All right, let me show you how this is going to look so stinking cute. Let's get a different brush to wash this on. Let's see. Let's use this one. I'm just going to dip from the lid. We're going to water that down quite a bit. I got a little palette right here next to me, and I'm going to wash that on. And again, that's a little aggressive, so let's try to steer clear of the nose. It's sealed, so we'll be able to wipe it off, but if it wasn't sealed, you want to be really careful at this stage of the game. And technically these paints here, the metallics, the inks, we don't need to seal these. Once they're cured, they'll be good. But if you wanted to, you wouldn't put your tassel on yet. I might just take like a little bit of satin and just sort of tuck it underneath the pom-pom. And again, we just give this a little white back. And look how stinking cute that is. You can use whatever colors. You can go more, not so much glam with the pearls. Oh, I have the needle, yay. So, Again, I have my knot in its single thread, okay? The double thread ends, you know, right there. And what I'm going to do, remember I was saying just do a running stitch, is what they call up and down is a running stitch. I'm going to do something where we're going to go up and tuck and up and tuck and up and tuck. I don't know if there's a name for this stitch, but so I want to hide I can hide the knot. I'm going to pick this little spot that sticks out more. Okay, it's not a perfect circle. No one has to be perfect. And then we're going to sort of just go up and around and curl the fabric, the fur, whatever. And believe me, I have fur flying around here everywhere now. And pull. And just keep wrapping around the edge. Okay, take the needle and wrap it to the other side. Wrap it to the other side. So this part, doing it this way, I think you would want to have a little more of a circle cut out, because you're going to lose a little bit on this where it's really tucking in. But I'm glad this technique came back to me, because this is so much nicer than the first one I did. Okay, and it just takes that edge and wraps it under so that the fur, the loose fur, is all going to be tucked. All right, so wrap. Okay, wrap it around the edge, come up the fur side, wrap it underneath, come up the fur side, wrap it underneath, come up the fur, and you just keep going that way. Give me one more hot second here. We're almost done. I wish I could just put it into fast forward right now. Okay, I think I feel the knot there, so we're good. So I've gone all the way around. And I'm going to take some of this. I'm using E6000. I think you could be safe to use a wood glue. This is just what I had handy. The glue we use for the molds, the Tight Bond Quick and Thick, I think would work wonders in this as well. And we do have a hole, and that's the front. Let's make our knot in the back just so, you know, make sure everything looks as pretty as we can. So here's our edge of our thread. Make sure that's at the back side. And if it isn't, it's not going to be a big deal, because that thread's going to get lost, especially if you're using a nice little thin white thread that you get at, you know, at your sewing store. And we're going to try and pull this without breaking the thread. You don't need to get a heavy duty thread, but if you find you're like heavy handed, you can make your life easier and get one, like a thread that would be better for maybe thicker fabrics like jeans and things like that. Okay, my knot didn't go all the way down because I'm in a rush. Let's do that again. I have a big loop. And let's tie that loop into this loop. Make ourselves a knot. Okay. Now everything's tucked in there. The glue will hold it down to the stick. Now I want to show you what I did for the Jingle Bell. So I have these, you get them at the craft stores, all right? You don't need ginormous ones. Of course, if that's the look you want to do, go for it. I have this cording. Now normally I keep this stored with my cord taped at the end, okay? You take a piece of tape, you're going to see in a second. Actually, we're going to have to get another piece of tape because that's got fur all over it. All right, so this will be an end that we just tie. Wrap it around a couple times. That'll give us the options if we want the tassels, okay? That's already opened up, okay? Now, here comes the fun part. We want to leave ourselves room for another knot, but we have to put the jingle bell on first. And then we need some tassels. So let's cut it here. But before we cut it, this is where we want to do. Normally, I would just take some tape right here. All right, and cut it right down the center. That way, the part I'm working with won't unravel, and the part that goes back on the piece, on the spool is good. But I'm going to cut it right here, and we're going to cut this tape. But I don't want to use my nice scissors for that. What happened to my other scissors? Right here. Okay, so that'll stay nice and tight. Now, we need to make a needle sort of effect out of this tape because the little loop for the jingle bell is so stinking small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and wrap it as tight as I can. Just like once, maybe twice around, no more than that, because we really need this to fit through. But see, this is an excess end on this tape. Let's cut off excess of our tape here. I'm going to throw that out. Now I'm going to take that end and I'm going to twist it even tighter. You see what I'm doing? I've got to make it as skinny on that end as possible so that I can fit it through, okay? Fit it through the little loop. Now, hopefully everything's on there as tight as possible. We're going to wiggle this through. It might take more than one try. It worked the first time on my other one, but you know, because it's a video, I might have to, we'll see. Give it a good tug there. Now we can kind of unravel this, pull it off, whatever works, and make our other knot. Easy peasy, right? Again, if I want those tassels, I gotta leave room for that. So let's leave it at that. Pull this knot as tight as we can, just so it's nice and neat, because we're gonna use glue. And we got our jingle bell on there. All right, we're gonna put some glue right into, oh wait, we're gonna put this through first because I don't wanna get glue all over the rest of the tassel. Remember, from the front to the back. And of course the jingle bell doesn't jingle. Oh my goodness, I put a jingle bell on there that doesn't jingle. All right. Put this there. Well, it'll jingle while it's on there, I guess. And then with a little glue inside the hole, we pull it tight, and just like I have all these other ones, just waiting for the glue inside the holes to dry. I think that one's stinking cute. This one still needs his pom-pom. I might do the red and a green on the top of this one, the tiny little ones. Okay, this one I think is done. I don't think I'm going to do another stripe. We need a couple just Santa ones. All right, so, and that one I think is stinking cute. Hi there, one last step. And this is totally optional. If you don't like a lot of bling, you don't like a lot of pizzazz, you want a simpler ornament, that's fine, okay? You don't even have to use the pearl paint. You could just be white paint. I'm taking it one more step, you guys. Let me bring you to another view here. All right. So, see this guy? Do you see a little something there? Do you see a little something? Hopefully it's showing. I can't tell. But it does have glitter, glass glitter. So I have this one that I got online. I have this one, the diamond dust. Whatever works for you. You could drizzle top coat. It doesn't matter the sheen. I'm using the Quick and Thick, the Titebond glue that we use for the molds. Okay, as long as it dries clear. I have a sheet of the acetate that comes, or the mylar that comes with the stamps. And I'm just gonna get a pinch of the glitter. And I'm gonna just kind of give it a good coat. And the purpose of putting, it doesn't have to be the stamp sheet underneath here. It could be paper. It could be wax paper, copy paper, whatever you have. Or if you just don't have any, you can be really miserly with the glitter and do it over like a trash can. The benefit of having the paper under here, okay, look at. And this glue will dry clear. That's the important part. So I see little clumps here and there right now, and I can actually kind of scratch through some of this. Okay. I don't want it to be like a big blob in the corner there. Okay. But when I'm done with this, I got a little piece of garbage in there. Okay. We don't want the garbage in there. We want just the glitter. We can take and fold our paper, or in this case the acetate or mylar, and put the glitter back in the bag. So that way we're not wasting a lot. It contains things a little bit better, but trust me, once you get glitter out for the season, you're going to find glitter probably into starting summer. Like, it's just going to show up everywhere. But that's the fun of the holidays, isn't it? All right, so this is, again, this is something that I chose to do. You don't have to do this. If you don't like all this extra bling, that's fine. If you like the simplicity of the especially like that one that's got the distress to him, I think he's super cute. But I did bling out his beard. I can't help myself. All right, you guys, thank you. I so appreciate you spending some time with me. If you like what you see, please give us a share. Let your friends know that you saw something you liked here. Maybe they'll give us a like, and we need a lot more followers. So hopefully we can do some lives here on YouTube. And if you're so inclined, these molds are available on our website. It's seaporium.com/collections to go right to shopping. But just go to seaporium.com and just learn more about us and about our local artists and all our DIY products. Again, we're Iron Orchid Designs and Dixie Belle retailer. We use Dixie Belle paints and the Iron Orchid Design molds and clay. And there's stamps in this case, right? So, ho, ho, ho. Stay tuned. I have another project coming very soon. And be sure to check our playlist for that. It's another gnome ornament project that's super fun and super cute. Totally different than this, I think. All right. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.